ugly truth we have to confront. For InfoWars Nightly News, I'm David Knight.
We are so blessed to have David Knight here in our operation. Just an amazing mind, great research, and a great host of the Nightly News and this radio show. The reason I played that report is he gets at the heart of it. And then I'll add to all the satellite issues that are connected to it. There's a philosophy of the globalists. Create financial banking systems where central private banks control the issuance of currency and credit. They're able to take over the world. Then to illegitimately continue that and expand social engineering towards their aim of population reduction, they then want to set up police states. To do that, they've got to fund and finance and protect terrorist groups to create the outside threat to allow them to come in and take control. And this isn't me saying this 14 years ago. I said it 14 years ago, and now it's come true. So there's no debate about that. And an example of this is the NSA. Illegally spying on us for political control, to control the markets, to target their political enemies. Totally illegal, classical, 200-proof tyranny. No debating. Then they deny it's happening. They get caught doing it. Then they make excuses for it, whitewash it, don't get in trouble for it, and are now coming out with new laws they're trying to pass to codify it on the books where there'll be no due process period in anything. This is what they do. They commit the evil. When they get caught, they whitewash it, legitimize it, and have the courts and the legislatures certify it. I remember having guests on 19 years ago who were showing me Mears documents and others, before they even had Mears, documents dealing with robo-signing and telling me that they're selling mortgages 10, 20, 30 times and teaching me about derivatives. And some of them were like former city council members and economists like George Humphrey. I mean, I knew he'd been on the city council when I was in high school. I knew he, was a wealthy guy that owned buildings downtown. I knew that he owned clothing stores around the country. I mean, I knew he was a well-known guy around town, and I started fighting the New World Order, and George said, hey, let's go out to eat, or hey, come on my Access show. He would go do an Access show just to get the word out. He also wrote books and things. He's been a frequent guest here. He's so zenned out now, it didn't involve that much anymore. He's involved some. Zenned out is the word, by the way. He's a great guy, like Obi-Wan Kenobi or something. But George said, let me explain how it really works. He explained derivatives. He explained how the whole show goes. But see, I would then talk about that and have guests on, and people thought I was a space alien. Now everybody knows about robo-signers and derivatives and credit default swaps and how they sell some mortgages 100 times, or people who had their mortgage paid off for 20 years and had paid cash. Bank of America comes along and forecloses. They never even held a note. How does that happen? Well, they got caught. Did they stop it? No, they've intensified it. They've expanded it. And now they're getting state legislatures to pass laws legalizing it. Retroactively. See, nobody's house is safe. Nobody's property safe under a fascist system. And that's what this is politically for the elite. They're in a fascist system where there's still free market, but government decides winners and losers. And the corporations then put their people in to shut down their competition. And then throughout the chain, anyone working for government or major corporations ends up being like the new nobility who is above the law. And we go back to pre-Magna Carta Battle of Runnymede, 1215, where the people got together and had the king, captured him at the battle, and said, you sign the Magna Carta, or we're going to cut your head off right now. You are not going to let your lords rape our daughters whenever they feel like it. You're not going to let your sheriffs kill our people whenever they want, the cops. You are going to respect us. You can't come in our house without a warrant. You've got to have a jury, a grand jury, on all these issues. Then they had a decade-long war to enforce it. So when I talk about 1776 worldwide, I'm not attacking England. 1776 came out of England. Those Englishmen that were in the colonies knew their rights that their fathers and grandfathers had fought and died for in the old country. That's where all the freedom comes from, is England, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's a great tyranny. It's what's so sad. 1776, I had people, 3,000 of them chanting 1776, north of London, out front the Bilderberg building. And when I gave that speech and explained that, the history of it. It's 1776 worldwide. It's about accountability. It's about due process. And when the system doesn't have it, it's over. And that's what torture is about. Sticking a fork in us, openly torturing to get fake confessions, to create spies that have been tortured into submission, and it's also to be used against us and to create fear. And that's what this is a whole giant sickening whitewash where they make it political, where now if you're against torture, you support Obama, when Obama is continuing the torture. We'll be back with more details. Stay with us. House GOP spending bill includes $1 billion to help poor and unskilled Central American migrants establish themselves in the United States. See, the GOP is involved in this because the same special interest, I'm reading off drudgereport.com, the same special interest that are run the Democrats are running the Republicans. But the Republican grassroots are great people, and they're trying to take the Republicans over. That's why the Tea Party is so important. Just finishing up on the whole torture issue. Then we've got some guests on race relations, South Africa, the way the left used that to destabilize the country. And then we'll have Dr. Steve Pachinik on in the third hour talk about the torture report. And we'll open the phones up for your questions or your comments. But simply put, it's what David Knight said. It's about the end of rule of law. It's about government not being accountable on banker bailouts, on torture, on an executive president that acts like a dictator, on the derivatives, on every front. They want to be above the law. And they want to sell the idea that patriotism is going along with torture. And they play that parlor trick of saying Obama is releasing this report with Feinstein to blame Republicans and to make himself look good. And that's absolutely true. The difference is, though, bipartisanly, they're all involved in it together, as we showed with the NDAA, the Patriot Act. And, folks, it's continuing. I've talked to the active duty soldiers, and it's come out in the news. They are now handing them over like they did pre-9/11 to third parties in Jordan and Romania and Poland and Ukraine and Egypt. Though Egypt doesn't trust the U.S. anymore and isn't doing it. And mainly, it's not about getting answers from bad guys. It is about setting the precedent, creating cadres of U.S. military and others that will torture people. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, it goes on. Now, it's true that all the major studies show that promising to give somebody money or to take care of their kids or to give them lenient treatment works better than torture. But torture does work in some cases. You put a gun to somebody's head or start chopping their fingers off, they'll start talking. But it's a greater evil to have something like that going on because it will be deployed against innocent people, and it does lead to absolute hell on earth in every case. That's why the communists and the Nazis and everybody else uses it, and that's why America supposedly didn't use torture. And I've read the history books, both the British, the French, and the colonial, and it's true. George Washington would hang you. Would have you court-martialed, and if it was found guilty, you'd be hung if you raped somebody, if you pillaged, if you looted, and if you tortured. Because you had to have the moral high ground. And that's why he was so respected. And the British, who engaged in some of the atrocities, nothing compared to what you see nowadays, turned a lot of the colonies against him with atrocities. So in the end game, it's about demonizing America long-term as global government comes in. We're the country that tortures. We're the country that has the racial problems, blah, blah, blah. AKA the UN is the savior. So that's what torture is really all about, setting America up, us being corrupted, losing the moral high ground. We should all reject it. Reject it. On penalty of your soul.
Visit
Reject it.
GCNlive.com today.
Sold out for weeks due to the difficult and extensive proprietary process behind its creation, the exclusive InfoWars Life Secret 12 formulation is now back in stock in the last limited shipment of 2014. The most bioactive form that has been created with our proprietary process. This ultra-clean vitamin B12 nutraceutical has been carefully crafted and developed over the last 2 years and is based on cellular science of how your body actively absorbs essential nutrients. Secret 12 is taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Vitamin B12 deficiency is linked to scores of serious problems. And Secret 12 is a fusion of 2 organic proprietary forms of vitamin B12, bringing you a true nutraceutical quality vitamin B12. Secret 12 is an excellent Christmas gift. Secure your Secret 12 formula before December 17th at InfoWarsLife.com and receive it before Christmas guaranteed. That's InfoWarsLife.com before December 17th or by calling 888-253-3139.